Welcome, Epic Understanding family. Oh, wow. I have something special for you. I have, I'm in a group and it's called Caregivers Corner. And I met this magnificent woman. She's bold and she's beautiful and she's brilliant. I say she's bold, and you'll agree with me, I'm sure, once you hear the title of her book. I was like, it's what? And why would you say that about caregiving? But it's pretty magnificent how she dives really, really deep and really reveals the underbelly of caregiving, and then what discovering that helped her through with her family. She has a remarkable story. Plus, she is an author and a ghost writer. I cannot wait to introduce you further and let you get to know more Miss Nicole Hawkins. How are you doing?
Hi, beautiful.
How are you, darling? You're
I'm
gorgeous.
Thank you. And you are too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll take it. I will take it. So, oh my goodness. So, really, I, I'm not even kidding. When you told me the name of the book, I was like, what?
Yeah, I knew I was going to get a lot of questions about that, which was absolutely fine to me. But first, I guess first is how I really felt. Caregiving, as you know, is very difficult. It can be very, very difficult. It can be emotionally draining. It can be hard on your physical body, mentally, spiritually. I mean, just
Mhm.
all of it. And that was truly my feeling. So,
So, it was the name of the book is F Caregiving.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's like wow. I thought you wrote it a really unique way because you have F and then an asterisk
Yeah,
CK. So I thought that was really unique the way you wrote it.
yeah. But the best part about it is the subtitle, which is
Hmm.
a practical approach to finding the joy in your journey.
Hmm.
And that's the whole thing of it. It's kind of like an oxymoron in a way.
Right.
Um, but once you dive a little deeper into the book, you get to understand more about the actual journey itself. You understand more about the actual sufferer's journey. You know what my husband went through, because I used to question him all the time. I know he got tired of my questions, but I just wanted to know how it felt for him, and and you kind of get to learn more about some of the processes that I took to actually, uh, you know, find that joy in that journey.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah,
So let me just make sure I'm understanding this right. You got to the point where you were frustrated first. So you just had to be honest with yourself.
and
And that's
that's
where
the
the F part
yeah,
came from.
yes, and that's the first. I think that's one of the first chapters, which is embracing and knowing that your feelings are valid, because
Mm.
the I think the more we try to hold things in, and I'm always an advocate of being able to communicate, but when you hold things in, it crystallizes inside of you, where
Okay.
it can cause physical harm to me. Like
Okay.
with me, um, communicate, but when you hold things in, it crystallizes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. But for me, it was just like I kind of held a lot of things in. I didn't talk to a whole lot of people about like my true feelings about it. I
Okay.
cried to myself and things of that nature.
Mm.
And I had to realize that I had to let those feelings out, because it started to really affect me physically. Like I had to wear a heart monitor because my blood pressure had went up sky high. Like it's so
Okay.
many emotions going through for the caregiving journey that you
Okay.
just, and if you continue to hold on to those emotions, you get angry. You get really, really angry, really resentful, and things of that nature. So, meditation was great for me at that time.
So what I'm hearing is that you were making yourself sick because you were keeping everything in and you were
Yes.
growing to be resentful. Were you also resentful of your husband in some respect?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it was more about the illness, I would
Okay.
say, of course. because before then, we didn't have that type of thing. But it was just the getting up. Everybody loves their sleep, and
Yeah.
that was that was especially a moment where sleep was not number one, and you get sleep deprived. You don't know how to really face things that you don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
So you're not. I'm not necessarily. I wasn't always necessarily mad at him, but I was mad at God. I was mad at my friends for being able to move on with their lives, and as we're sitting here dealing with a very, very, um, uh, really, you know, hard moment.
Okay.
But yeah, so you have a lot of feelings, negative feelings going on in the beginning, and I had to figure out how to move forward without them and find a positive manner, positive part in it.
So did you want your friends to be different?
I didn't necessarily want them to be different because everybody has their own things that they're going through. Um, but I think it was just like, they're going places, they're being with their family, and with the pandemic going on, it was really nowhere that we could really go because my husband's like his immune system was really, really low, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with going through chemo and things of that nature. So it was like we kind of had to stay here by ourselves. Like we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go out unless it was to the grocery store. But there were some people, some of my friends that I know that would, still go out to different places, and um, they were having fun. Like you would see all the little pictures or text messages, "What are we
Mm-hmm.
going here?" And it was just one of those things. It wasn't necessarily, it didn't really have anything to do with them per se. It was more about me being, I guess, a little envious, that they were actually able to move through whatever they were going through, and we're here just trying to figure out this journey, this difficult journey. But the good thing about it was we were together, so I had
Okay.
to kind of switch it. So yeah.
So did you want your friends to maybe do anything different that they weren't doing? Or I mean, I'm trying to figure out, was there something that your friends could have done to alleviate any of your suffering at
No,
all?
because no, they actually did pretty good. I mean, I always say that I talk to lots, but I connect only with few, and the ones that I do connect with, that at that time, they were great. They will always ask
Okay.
me different questions like, "How are you feeling today? What's your level? Are you 1 through 10? Like, how are you feeling?"
Mm-hmm.
And if they know I'm low, it was good. I was able to use FaceTime a lot. That was
Okay.
a great thing to do. And text message was good. They showered us with love, but it was just the point that we're going through such a difficult thing, and everybody else around us is still moving through their own lives, and that was a difficult part.
Okay. So your friends were doing everything that they could possibly do
Mhm.
to support you. Um, but yet you still had this resentment. It wasn't necessarily aimed at your husband per se, but it was at the situation.
Absolutely,
It,
absolutely, yeah.
okay. And so generally things don't manifest itself in such a positive nature as a book.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How did it first manifest itself so people can understand what they might what they might experience?
Well, to be very honest, I'm gonna be transparent.
Mhm.
Mine kind of started from a meditative standpoint. When I
Okay.
meditate, sometimes I get answers, clarity, and things of that nature. And one of those things where you're going to write a book about your husband, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, what
wow.
am I? Yeah, like what am I going to write about? Like, it's nothing really going on. He's a great guy, absolutely. I could write about our lives, but then all of a sudden, this came into our lives, and
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like these are sources which a lot of people call God, well, God's enlightenment processes, where they're kind
Okay.
of disguised as problems and challenges. But the
Mhm.
thing that we're supposed to do is basically rise from them, and
Mhm.
figure out how to move through them with grace. So the book came about through a meditation that I had. And I just kind of, when all of this started happening, I started to kind of document things. I didn't really know what I was going to write about, but I kind of just started documenting things. Like, I know my husband was tired of me taking pictures of him, but I wanted to really try to figure out how to embrace what was
Okay.
happening around us. And I did a lot of recording myself, because if I wasn't able to talk to somebody else, I would record myself so that I could always look back and see how I was in that moment and see how I can change to be a better person or to be more happier, and to understand that this is just a storm for right now, you know. And I used to think about him passing a lot, because
Mm.
you hear the word cancer and you really don't know which way it's going to go. So my mind will always go left a lot,
Okay.
and I had to kind of understand that those are the things I cannot control. So if something were to happen to him or myself or our kids, I can't do anything about that. Will I be hurt? Absolutely, but it's nothing that I can really do. It's not a thing that we can control. That is absolutely God's uh, expertise, as you can say, but it's nothing that we can do. Hi, George.
Yes. Hi. 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 And you know what? Leaf King likes your
Thank
glasses.
you. I
So you're getting
see.
some,
Thank you.
you're getting some love out there. And
Yes.
I appreciate you very much out there. Thank you for watching us. And so before we get too far down the line, I'm sure everybody's wondering, how is your husband doing?
He's in remission. Matter of
Okay.
fact, we went to his oncology appointment on, I think it was Tuesday. His
Okay.
blood work looks great, but he still
Mhm.
has some things that he still has to go through. Like, since the cancer was in his spinal cord, it is
Okay.
absolutely still, it's like still some remnants of scar tissue there. And your spinal cord is where all your nerves are. So he still
Hmm.
has, and they said that the scar tissue can go away, or it might take longer than expected. So he still has some walking issues, things of that nature. But overall, he's here, and that's all that matters.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
And just for the record, you deeply love your husband. You guys have been together
absolutely.
since you guys were teenagers, right?
We were let's see, how old was I? 20. I was 20.
20. So, so really, really young.
Yes,
Really,
really,
really, really
really young. Yes. We've been together for a long time. 23 years. It'll be 23 years in October. So,
young. Okay. And so, but still, it was hard.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely.
How did he start? Did he start to look at you as a caregiver versus his wife, or how did that unfold?
First of all, he didn't like it. And I always say no person that's going through an illness likes the fact that somebody has to take care of them.
Hmm.
um, his biggest thing was he was so appreciative. Like, he said thank you so much that I was getting tired of hearing thank you. I'm like, this is a part of, it's a partnership. This is what I am here for. And, if something were to go wrong with me, he would have to be there
Hmm.
for it. And I wouldn't necessarily say have to, but, I know that he would take care of me just as well as I took care of him. So,
You said something the other day when we were having a conversation. You said that even though your mindset started off with F-Caregiving,
mhm,
you grew to understand that he was actually sacrificing himself
yes,
so that you could grow. Unpack
yes.
that for us, please.
Well, that was another thing that came to me in meditation. Meditation, as you can see, is really, really, I love to meditate. Like, people always say that everybody has a addiction. I
Okay.
think meditation is mine.
Oh, wow.
But it was just, I don't know. It was like when I went through the meditation, they basically asked me, like, they were like, I think when you connect with God and all that kind of stuff. So God was basically telling me that, um, he told me that I had resentment towards my husband, which was first. And I'm
Mm.
like, how can I have resentment towards somebody that's going through something? And they were basically saying that I was in a place, I was in a different place. Like, me and my husband always loved each other, loved on each other, but we were totally, totally in a different space. And we were vibing. It felt like it was more spiritually, physically, mentally. I mean, we were on all cylinders. We were doing great. We always have had a really, really good relationship, but it was something that it seemed like we were growing even more. Um, and then during the meditation, it was like God said, your husband is sacrificing a little for of his health for your family. And I'm like, that's different. Like, I've never heard it said that way. Um, but it was necessarily for our growth. Uh, because, like I always say, if it wasn't for him going through what he was going through, I would not be here talking to you at all. So I look at that part of it, how he's actually sacrificed a little bit of that, of his health and what we were going through, to actually set my mind. It was like, it kind of like set my mind. Like, at first I was mad, angry, but then something clicked and was like, you got to find the joy in this. Like, you got to find. And so he helped me, like, process it. And once he helped me process it a little better, then it was like, it was more of a growth thing. It was more of a learning curve, things of that nature that, kind of helped me see it differently.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's how I feel like he sacrificed some of you know, his health because of the elevation of his family and his friends, and things of that nature. Yeah.
So, I'm always quoting scripture. The scripture is in my head, is in my heart. But what you are saying reminds me of this word. It's all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord.
Absolutely.
Um, and I hide scripture in my heart so that I can have God talk to me.
Yeah.
Um, by no means, listen, I don't tell anybody how to live, but I
Yeah.
use God. I use God's word so that I can make it from one moment to the next, so that
Correct.
I can, remain peaceful in my partnership and in my journey. You know, I'm definitely all about maintaining my peace. Um, Seriously. So that's
Yeah.
what does it. That's what does it for me. Now, I wonder if you could grab your book
Yes.
and yes, and read us a passage. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to say this.
I know. um,
And share something with us, and then I want you to kind of unpack it for us. Tell us where your heart was when you were writing it, and just kind of take us on that journey a little bit.
okay. I go back to this one. This one for me, it's kind of like the last, um, almost the last paragraph. I mean, chapter, and it's basically on finding the joy.
Okay,
Um,
before you go there, George says that he likes the way you turned your husband's sickness into triumph, which is,
yes,
I guess, really, I would say that would probably be the jewel that's
yeah,
in your book, because
yes,
when I just can't really say that I've heard anybody express it that way.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it just came to me in meditation, and it clicked for me. Like, wow.
Hmm.
And it made me look at him in a different light, because this person is sacrificing something for me or something for our family. And we don't understand. I, now that I understand the caregiving journey a little more, I hope people can actually understand that their family members are doing basically the same thing. they're helping us with so many, they're actually gifting us. And I always say this, they're gifting us with more empathy, they're gifting
Mhm.
us with more patience, more love,
Mhm.
because you have to incorporate
Yeah.
those things. Yeah, you have to have those things within in order for you to have successful caregiving journey. You gotta release the anger, you gotta release the doubt, you gotta release the resentment. Some kind of way you have to find things to help. And I think my whole thing was learning more about myself and diving a little bit into myself and that self-care and making sure that I'm taking care of myself and having
Mhm.
fun myself, whether it's reading, meditating. And I was an avid softball player when I was young, so I actually went one time and bought like a t-ball uh, and some softballs and a bat, and I went in my
Okay.
backyard and I just used to hit it because it made me feel good, you know. So I used to hit the ball, and that would take some of that frustration and the anger and that pent up aggression, and it would kind of release for me. It was a release for me. So once people find that release for them, I think
Mhm.
that that works, to me. Um, but
I'm
yeah.
with you. I've cared for my mother well over 20 years.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, well over 20 years. And so I really do understand what you mean that you receive a gift from that. People who meet me, they talk about how patient I am,
Hmm.
but I'm patient because I grew patience in caring um,
That's
for
it.
my mother, and so
Yeah.
that's a characteristic that people see in me, and I appreciate it. But I definitely know where it came from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for
And
sure.
I've also been on this journey. This is probably 20 years for me as well, because it started with my grandmother when
Hmm.
she was ill. Me and my husband would actually, and my grandfather, but he went, since he would work and my husband work in the afternoons, we would kind of go help him. And my grandmother she was on dialysis. So it was like she did home dialysis. So we would help her. We would help her hook up and get her pills and stuff together, make sure she had breakfast, things of that nature. So it started
Hmm.
with her, and then it went to our daughter, our oldest daughter, Jordan. She had ITP, which is a blood clotting issue, and
Hmm.
that started when she was 15. She is now 20, and she's still actually going through it, but it's getting a little bit easier. There were moments of going back and forth to the hospital because we're in Maryland. We used to have to go to DC, and it's about an hour drive. And she would stay in the hospital for numerous days, uh, and just her going through so much and not really knowing, like, if I go out here and have an accident, what would happen, because her blood wouldn't clot, and which means that if she got a really bad cut, that she
Okay.
could potentially bleed out. So
Mm.
and then it started with my husband. So I feel like this journey, this caregiving journey, is something that is destined in my life.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then it sounds like it just kept getting closer and closer
Hmm.
to you being the primary caregiver. Because when you're sharing the caregiving responsibility, I grew up in the household with my grandmother. My grandfather
Right.
was blind, my grandmother was bedridden,
Hmm.
and I remember running past her her bed, and
Hmm.
she was making the sound of pain,
Hmm.
and I remember feeling guilty
Hmm.
because we would play in the house. I mean, we would play like play. We would have us a
Yeah.
good time, okay, in the house. And I just remember getting old enough to all of a sudden feeling guilty that I had so much joy and she was ill.
Yeah.
And I have a vivid memory when I was 8, sucking the mucus
Hmm.
from her throat. And so that was different because I was still able to really live my life as I pleased.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then as you become closer and closer to a person and you become that primary caregiver,
Yeah.
it's life sacrificing. Your life is second in relations to this person's health. And it's a completely different
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
a connection. And it sounds like you experienced the full-fledged weight of it when it became your, you caregiving for your husband and then your
Yeah.
primary.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I
Um,
think we've made everybody wait long enough for
oh,
your book.
okay.
We got onto it. So we can pick back up, but I want you to read this beautiful passage.
Okay. All right. My husband's name is LeBaron. So it says, I think LeBaron and I were destined to be in this place of love to show other beautiful souls that love isn't hard with the right person. Many people who know us have expressed to me that LeBaron is lucky to have me. Yes, this may be true, but I always tell them that I am actually the lucky one to have him. I say that because he has always loved me the way that I wanted to be loved for all the years we've been together. He's always make he always makes me feel like the only woman in a crowd of many. He is always my biggest supporter when I move through different phases in my life. His love his love is and always has been unconditional, and he has always made me feel like number one in his life. I love him and I love on him like I do because he has allowed me to evolve into the woman I am today. Some people can't handle the evolution of their significant other, but he is and always has been the staple of love and encouragement from day one. I always tell him that he's been married to at least 12 different women because of the growth and evolution during this co-creative journey. He absolutely helped me evolve into my best self. So
That's so beautiful. That's so
thanks.
beautiful. And we'll talk more about your journey with God and how you evolved into
Mhm.
this beautiful woman. Because you're coming back on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. And
Ooh.
so we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna even dive into some of your um, relationship with your husband on
Mhm.
Sunday because he is such a magnificent guy
Yeah,
and
he
how you
is.
guys have grown together. I want to talk a little bit more about you being a ghost writer.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, you're an incredibly interesting woman. I want everybody
oh, thank
to
you.
know that. Besides, they might want to hire you, right?
Right. With me, so I actually this is the second. Well, I this is my second book. So, but I actually finished a book for my cousin. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he has a magnificent story.
Mm-hmm.
Magnificent story. He is truly one of those ones that rose like a phoenix through everything that he's been through. I mean, he's been through a lot of things, like from having cancer twice.
Okay.
He's had a heart transplant because the
Oh,
cancer kind of, messed up, some of his heart, and he had both of his shoulders replaced, both of his hips replaced.
what?
Yeah, he's been through a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
we titled it. Yeah, what did we title it? It just slipped my mind, but we titled it the the penitentiary of my soul. Um,
Whoa! Stop! Oh my God!
yeah,
Wait a minute.
actually,
You were having trouble remembering that? What?
I did. I don't
The
know why.
penitentiary of my soul.
Yes,
Ooh.
yes. And the reason why we named it that was because he said that he's been through a lot in his life, and one of the things that he's done was he sold drugs. He sold drugs. He never got caught for any of the things that he did like that, and all of a sudden now his body's going through all of this stuff. So he's basically, when we thought about it, I thought about it and I kept thinking about what could he name this? And the more I thought about it, I'm like, Dad, you never went to jail for that, but your soul has been in so many different, um, you know, it has so many different things has happened to you. So like the penitentiary of my soul is just it just like it hit. And when it hit me, I was like, wow, I think that's it right there. So I told him, and he was like, Nicole, like that is so, and it's another one of those things where you don't understand it until he really truly gets this book out. Like he's been through a lot of things, and for him to go through what he did and do the things that he did, now he feels like his soul is in a penitentiary because of all the things
Mm.
that has happened. So it was great. And I love that. I love learning about people and how they get through the fire, and how they grow through what they're going through. And I was on him for a long time. I'm like, you need to write your book because you can help many, many people. This was before I even wrote mine. I was like, you can help
Okay.
many, many people, go through and grow through what they're going through, just by
Mhm.
them knowing your circumstances, like all the things that he's been through. It was just it's amazing to even. I mean, at one point he was on this machine called an LVAD. That
Okay.
I'm sorry, LVAD, and the
Okay.
machine basically beats your heart for you. So
Mm.
if you do not plug it in and make sure that the battery pack is correct, like that was his only heartbeat. His heart wasn't functioning like at that time. So he had to have this LVAD before he got his heart transplant. So yeah, his story is really, really good. Like um, I'm really, really proud of who he has become and how he's grown through all the things that he's went through. And I'm excited for him. We're going to probably have it out probably in October or something like that. But I do love ghostwriting. Like I said, I love learning about people and how they get through the fire like a phoenix. Um, and I have that one, and then I also have a couple more that I have in the fire coming. One is one of my friends, my high school friends. She went through a lot of things as well. And she's a totally different person because of all the adversities that she's had in her life. I have
So when
another.
you say she went through a lot of things, were these things having to do with health issues, or were they having to do with, you know, divorce, heartbreak, career? What lane are we
Okay.
in?
Well, she's a little nervous about sharing her story, but I'm like, we've all been through things. I try to encourage her as much as I can because I kind of had her on my book launch, but it wasn't working a little bit. So I told her we'll have to do like one separately. But she just had a rough life. She is a gay woman,
Mm-hmm.
and um, at a moment in her life, she was unhappy, and things started to trickle for her. And to be very honest, she was just going through a lot of things, and she ended up getting into a car accident where she broke her neck,
Mm-hmm.
and it just changed her whole trajectory on life. Um, and I thought that was awesome. Like I'm like, okay, you don't know how many, and she's like focused on spirituality now, and she's really into the beautifulness of life. And because for some reason I always say like these things are sources enlightenment process disguised as our problems. And it's, to be very honest, I really feel like when things like that happen, when cancer happens, when people have to go through different uh, difficult adversities, I really think those are opportunities for us to really find the joy and to understand that we're giving, like my husband was given, you know, more time here on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to be able to find that joy in it, I think that's the best way to really, you know, find it. You have to find that silver lining in it. And, that's just that. I don't know why I've always been that way, trying to always figure out how to, look at our adversities and really try to find the joy in them. because you can learn a lot from adversities that you're going through, but most people let it weigh them down and, um, you know, really sink deep within them, and then they're mad, and you know, you
You
just
know
never
what?
know.
Me and Dr. Carla Bester, we're thinking the same thing. I
What?
honestly think that you were blessed with a particular talent
Yes.
to take people who are caregivers and people who have been ill and help them create their story so that others can grow from it. Because it seems like that's your niche. That's what it seems like to me.
Yes, I love it.
Yes, and she's saying, Dr. Bester is saying that she would be interested in connecting with you. I'll get Nicole to drop her information
Oh,
down
definitely.
into the chat so that you two can connect.
Okay.
So that would be
Yeah, I
amazing.
actually even started a publishing company.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I have a publishing company that I started. My book was the first one, and then Timmy's was going to be the next. But it's called I Am Phoenix Publishing,
Okay.
because because I just love how people just rise. It does something to me to hear. I like, it makes me cry just thinking about how people can really rise from those ashes and really find that joy, and come out so much better on the other side. Um, and especially with all my cousins been through, I'm just, I'm floored to
Mm-hmm.
see that he has still has a smiling face on. He's still smiling, he's still
Mm-hmm.
moving through his life with joy. And like my husband, like, he finds his days. He loves swimming, so he'll take his day and go swimming, and it helps his legs. And he's still pushing through. And I just love to connect with people like that. I love it. I love it. It is definitely a great thing for me, to see people come out on the other side, with
That is beautiful.
yeah, with better growth, more love for themselves, and just that smile. So some people can't do that. Some people don't know how to turn. Some people don't know which way to go. And that was my whole point of this book, was to kind of let people know that you can find the joy in this, what you're doing. As difficult as it is, if you always embrace self, you can find that joy. Like, you have to really embrace self through the caregiving journey, because if you don't, you lose yourself every time. But
Mm-hmm.
if you learn that this is basically, me personally, I think that we learn best when we are challenged.
Mm-hmm.
um, and once people understand that this is a challenge, it's kind of like a game. It's a challenging game that you have to get through, and you have to you know find out how to work through the intricate pieces of it. And once you learn how to work through the intricate pieces of it, you get the growth, and the the love of it. And then once you get through it, you're like, yes, I got through that. Like, I actually got through the most difficult time in my life. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just it. Yeah.
So, do you think this was the most difficult time in your life that you've had? Or was
Yes.
there? Okay.
I mean, I know with my daughter going through what she was going through, that was difficult too. But like you said, I had my husband, so we tag teamed a lot. But
Mhm.
with it just being him, and our daughters are 14 and 20.
Okay.
So um, I didn't necessarily, I involved them. Like, I've always been an advocate of telling our daughters what's going on. I don't hide anything from them. If something's going on, they know. And I love the fact that they were, always on deck if I needed them to be.
Okay.
Um, so, you know, when it came to him, absolutely, this was the probably one of the hardest things that I've probably done in my life. Like, my life has been great. I was raised by my grandparents, and they spoiled no, I was about to say a curse word. They spoiled me to death.
Oh my gosh.
They spoiled me, and I had a really good life. So, and of course I had my difficulties, of course, but um, just with him going through what he was going through, yeah, it was probably one of the most difficult times. Like, we had a similar, we had something that was a little difficult, but we went through it together, which was his mom passed away out of the blue. And 3 days later, my grandmother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was, that was difficult because we were different, dealing with two funerals at the same time. And it was the most significant women in our lives. But me knowing death and understanding it, I know that my grandmother's always around me, and you know, I don't know. So that it didn't really bother me um, a lot, but of course I had my times where it was hard. But knowing her and knowing how she connected with God,
Mm-hmm.
I know she was good. I had no qualms about that at all. And then knowing how we were, I know that she will always be around me, helping me, you know, and possibly like one of my spirit guides, to be very honest. So
Mm.
that's just me.
So, um, I don't want to misquote you, but I'm sensing that you're saying that having someone move to the other side in completion has a piece to it, but you found more difficulty in having someone here with you being ill. Is
Absolutely.
that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think with the the death of my grandmother and his mom, um, I mean, that was difficult, but again, that's one of those things I cannot control. I couldn't control what was
Mm-hmm.
happening with her. My husband, on the other hand, I could. The only thing I could really control was myself
Mm-hmm.
and how I saw things. And in the beginning, yes, absolutely, I saw the anger, I saw the pain in him and in myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I noticed at one point, like um, just to kind of like clear my mind and my thoughts, I would kind of move away in the garage and take that time to myself. And in him, he was also he would never bother me. He kind of it's like we just have this connection where he knows that I'm gonna leave her alone. I'm going to let
Okay.
her go ahead and do what she needs to do. But if I need her, I can always call her. He was really good with making sure that, number one, he was always grateful. He used to tell people that all the time. If it wasn't for my wife, I don't know where I would be. But and I tell them on the same side, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know where I'd be. So I had to understand what was happening in our lives in order for me to really put it in a different perspective, basically.
That's amazing. I'm going to drop the group that we're in on Facebook. It's a Caregivers Corner. Um, both Nicole and I hang out in that. So I encourage you guys to come hang out with us there, particularly if you are a care giver. The group isn't even a month old,
Yeah.
um, but it's very transparent, very
Yes.
it's very transparent, and it's a place where we are growing together um, as caregivers. What's important is that we're equipping ourselves. Uh,
Absolutely.
you will find that as we begin to grow, you'll find stuff about the technicalities of insurance. You'll find very transparent hearts um, that relates to sometimes the people around you
Yeah.
simply don't know how to give you um, what you need. Somebody the other day, they really did think they were helping me, and they gave me a task to do. They wanted me to comb through a a website as if I didn't know the website existed.
Okay. Hey.
And I just had to be honest, um, respectful but honest, and say, I know the website exists, but if there's something specific on there that you think would help me, if you could point it out specifically
Right.
and send me, that link, because websites are pages upon pages on pages. It could take me 10 hours to figure out what it is they're talking about.
Right.
please be specific in what it is that you think that would, would help me
Mhm.
on there. That would be amazing. And then I'm just going to give this other little tidbit. If you have somebody in your life and they are actually taking care of someone, something very easy that you can do is you can go get fresh vegetables and you can cut them up for them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Wash them and clean them and cut them up and put them in a nice little container and send them to them already done. And or you can also pre-make a salad, and and put it like in a nice little glass jar on the go so they can serve it up. Those things in completion are really awesome. If you drop off a bag of groceries where vegetables have to be cleaned, you know the vegetables might go bad. I'm just going to be
Yeah.
honest, because the person doesn't have time
Yeah.
to add that into their schedules. Or complete meals are very, very helpful. I'm trying to be specific because people want to help, but they
Yeah.
really don't know how sometimes. And this is the other thing I'm going to add. It is very nice to ask for an update. But if
Yeah.
you are making the person constantly work to give you updates, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making the
Yeah.
so I don't know.
I,
Be thoughtful and be proactive. Nicole, go ahead and share your thoughts.
well, I was just gonna say, our friends did a lot of that. Like I know I had one friend that, since it was the pandemic, we weren't letting anybody in the house because we didn't really want my husband to get ill, more ill than he already
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
So my one of my friends texted me and she was like, "Go to your mailbox." And I'm like, okay. So I go to the mailbox. I go and I look, and there's a bag, and there's sodas, like snacks. I mean, all kinds of stuff that she put in there that, I was like, that really like tugged at my
Yes.
heartstrings. That was one thing. My cousin, she actually sent us Panera bread one day out of the blue. I mean, it was just, it was so much love given
Mm-hmm.
to us at that time. Like, even like my birthday, everybody kept asking me, "What are you going to do for your birthday?" And I know, like I said, it was a pandemic. So I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to chill because one of my really, really good best friends, she brought me a fire pit for my birthday.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So I was like, I'm just going to, probably sit in the backyard and, you know, let the fire pit just, just enjoy the night because it was a
Yeah.
beautiful night that day. And I'm like, okay, so I noticed that a lot of people kept asking me what I was going to do. And I know my husband was really serious about not allowing people in the house. And, I totally understood it.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, like, I see my father in law and he's like putting all my stuff together and, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, "You can come out and go ahead." And I set up everything for us and, because he was going to sit with me. So I come
Mm-hmm.
outside and all of a sudden I see my friends walking up
Mm-hmm.
our sidewalk. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
so it was about 15 of my friends that actually came and they surprised me for my birthday. I thought that was the most amazing thing, especially at that time, not seeing anybody for a very, very long time. And it really, really, again, tugged at my heart. I mean, so we had really good people around
Mm-hmm.
us and they did
Mm-hmm.
really, really great things for us. Um, so I mean, it was that was like you said, some of those things are absolutely awesome to do for people, like the
Mm-hmm.
cooking and have maybe even having like a person come in to help them, clean up or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those things go a long way for a lot of
They
people.
really, they really do. I'm a part of a women's group, and the things that these women have done for me, a spiritual women's group. It's not a
Mhm.
sorority. Anybody can join,
Okay.
and they're so sisterly, because as a caregiver, sometimes you can't really think of what you need,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's a difficult ask.
Yeah,
It's a difficult ask, and then
it
someone
is.
just, you know, they they look into your heart, they're prayerful, and something just drops in their heart, and then they give you, it's like air. It's like
Yeah,
someone breathed air into your body. It's
yeah,
just what you need. So
yeah,
it's just amazing.
yeah.
It's just amazing.
Along the talks of like them helping and cooking and things like that, I actually was gifting the proceeds of my book actually to I wanted to try to open my own caregiving foundation, but I know it's kind of hard and it kind of takes a long time to do.
Hmm.
But I'm actually gifting the proceeds to a caregiving foundation. Um, I called one, but they haven't responded back. So I'm trying to find some, but because I
Hmm.
feel like those things are like I wanted to start my own because I know that people need somebody to come and cook every once in a while, or somebody to come clean their house, or somebody to give them 2 hours alone, just to,
Yeah, respite care.
yeah. And I wanted those for the proceeds from the book to be able to help people like that, to give them an hour, to give them a spa day, to give them a mani pedi, or just to, because from what I remember, I think they say 60% of women, of the caregivers are women.
Hmm.
So spa days and, different things for them to actually feel good for a moment, and let somebody know that they're loved and loved on. So I'm still looking for it, but I'm really leaning towards starting my own. But I know it's just so hard sometimes, and I know I already have my hand in so many different pots that I just need to kind of like, you know, calm down first before I figure it all out. Yeah,
Wow. You know what? You just got a lot of love inside and you got to let it all out. That's all it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
That's all it is. So, um, what's your last bit of wisdom? And don't forget, please do drop it in the private chat so people can know how to get in contact with you.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
so please do that. But what's your last thought? Because what would you tell somebody if they were trying to turn their story um, into a book? What would you share with them?
um, that's a good question. Well, something that I have been taught, like I went through a program to kind of help find out more about the book process and how
Mm-hmm.
to move it forward and things like that. And the coach that I had, shout out to Coach Jasmine,
Yeah.
she um, was awesome with helping me understand that you're like not too many people, if they don't know you, they don't really want to read a biography of you. They
Okay.
want to know how you can help them through their storm.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
uh that was the like when I heard her say that, I'm like, you know what, because I had already written 200 pages of a book for my husband. I was done with the book, but once I dived into her program, I was like, well, I guess I'll just rewrite it and, take out some things, put in some things.
Hmm.
And because she was right, like nobody really wants to hear your autobiography, not unless you're Obama or somebody like that.
Right.
People want to
Absolutely.
read. And not that it's not a great thing to do. People, it's good to, you probably do have a great story, but they want to know how you can help them through whatever it is that they're going through. We're
That's the
all,
bottom line.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I said a practical approach to finding the joy in your journey, because there are practical steps in here for you to actually be able to take some of those steps that I've learned and incorporate it into your daily, day to day, um, you know, life of, things going on in your life. So that
That's
was a
amazing.
grateful thing for me.
Awesome. Hold your book up for us. Hold it
Oh,
up.
can you see it the right way? Oh yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, we can definitely see it. There you go. I love it. I love,
Like I
love,
have
love all of
on
your
this side too.
yeah, I love your artwork. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Um,
Who did
the
that for
guy,
you?
His name is Justin. He did a great job, and I cannot wait to connect with him with the other book. I have a ton. I have a series coming out, an epic series, to be very honest. This is just the first of many that I think it's 9 more books that I'm actually going to write about. Um,
Oh my
that
God. You heard it here first. Look at this. Breaking news. Breaking news.
yeah, I have one called F Your Beauty Standards.
Oh
Um,
my God.
and
You and the F bomb. You and the F bomb.
that's why I said it's a series of
Yeah.
epic
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
okay. I got it.
But, but he did an absolute amazing job on my cover. Like it
Yes,
was
you did.
something that came to my mind, and when I told him, he just put it together. And matter of fact, he did it once, and that was it. I was like,
It's
wow,
amazing. I
this
really do love it.
yeah,
He's awesome.
he
You
did a
should
really good
drop
job.
his name. You should drop.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because he's pretty good. Like I really appreciated everything that he's done. I think he's more so on Instagram.
Hmm.
So I would have to find him. But
Okay, well,
hey,
maybe drop it later on. Totally
okay.
appreciate it. You know what? Thank you guys for watching. Nicole, you are amazing. I can't wait for
Thank
you
you.
to share the rest or the other side of your story because there really is a journey with the creator
Yeah,
um,
that's true. Yeah.
as part of this. And so I cannot wait for you to share that with us on Sunday.
Okay. I
All
love
right.
this. I love talking to
I love talking to you. You know what? The first time we talked, guys, we talked for hours. We were like, oh, wait, we got
you. We did.
hours upon hours. It's amazing. So
Yes.
thank you guys for watching. It's been another great episode. I'm so thankful for you, Nicole.
I'm thankful for you for allowing me to co-create in this space. I love it. I love it.
My pleasure. Bye bye for now, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.